I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is control, or maybe it's even the illusion of control. In any case, lots of us spend all kinds of energy trying to control the circumstances of our lives. And we're going to talk about what's behind that, what motivates it, all that good stuff. So before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, and bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, energizing, and bringing electrified, illuminating energy throughout your body and being so that you just glow out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's just gently press our palms together and very softly rub our fingers against our palms to feel the tickling and the tingling and that wonderful sensation, and allow yourselves to become present right here, right now, in these remarkable bodies that allow us to experience life. So welcome, welcome, welcome. It's already Friday. It's amazing how quickly the weeks fly by. I don't know about whether you experience that or not, but boy, oh boy, time keeps marching on. Anyway, we're talking about control. And I know that so many of us spend a lot of time and energy trying to control life, to control ourselves, to control situations, to control other people, and it is an exhausting exercise if it's something that you engage in. Even just controlling ourselves, like I think that that's probably one of the biggest expenditures of energy that many of us have, is to just like be constantly monitoring ourselves. Good morning, Rosalind. So good to have you here with us this morning. I welcome. Happy Friday to you and to everyone else who's joining us. It's always good to be together with you. But today we're talking about control and how, first of all, I think it's illusory. I don't know that we really do have the capacity to truly control the way that life unfolds. We may put all kinds of controls in place, and oftentimes life runs off the rails anyway, right? And the thing is, the energy that it takes to try to exert this control can be tremendously exhausting, right? And even if we're looking at self-control, right, if we're monitoring ourselves constantly to make sure that we don't step out of line or we don't act inappropriately, or what's underlying that is a lack of trust, right? Because we're not really trusting ourselves to be able to engage with life in an authentic way. I know that there was a period of my life where I really, really, really did not trust myself. And I was constantly on high alert to be monitoring my responses, my behaviors, my reactions. It was exhausting. And the more energy that is devoted to trying to control things, somehow it seems that the more things spin out of control. I don't know if that's your experience or not, but when I finally was able to come more from a place of presence and engagement and trust that things are unfolding as they should. Oh my gosh, what a difference in the experience of life to be able to go with the flow of it. Good morning, Bernadette. So good to have you here with us. We're talking about control and maybe even the illusion of control and how much energy can be spent trying to keep things manageable and predictable. And I think that what motivates that is fear. Primarily, a fear of the unknown, a fear of harm, perhaps, or danger, like I'm going to control everything so that I know that I'm not in danger. So there's maybe an underlying and constant expectation of danger that motivates our efforts to control. So I think we get to look at what's that dynamic, what's underneath it, how do we address the actual foundation of it, and how do these efforts to control show up? Bernadette says, or fear of success. Now that's a slippery slope, right? The fear of success is a tricky one because I think we say things like fear of failure, fear of success, and we don't really listen to what that implies. So Rosalind says, like taking your hands off the wheel in a bumper car, absorbing the impact. Ooh. So I love the poetry of that, Rosalind. And I think it's almost more like taking your hands off the rail on a roller coaster, like throwing your hands up in the air and enjoying the ride because in a bumper car, you do get to steer a bumper car, right? Or I'm thinking you do. I haven't been in bumper cars for forever, so maybe I'm misremembering, but I think we get to steer bumper cars. And I like the idea of allowing, okay, so Russell says, roller coaster sounds better because the roller coaster is going where the roller coaster is going, right? And it doesn't matter how hard we hold on to that railing, it's going where it's going. And it's funny, a memory just came to mind. And when I was a little kid, I was on a roller coaster and I did not like it. And I just was crying and crying. They stopped the roller coaster to let me get off the roller coaster. So, yeah, that was a long time ago. And I'm not really a roller coaster person in general. I like adventure. I've jumped out of an airplane, but a roller coaster is not my thing. Anyway, so funny. But I think, like there are many aspects of life that just unfold as they unfold. And there's not a lot that we can do about it other than choose to resist it or choose to roll with it. And when we resist things, typically we make them more difficult, right? Like when we tense up, for instance, life is harder, right? Than if we can just move gracefully with it. When I was a lot younger, I had a friend who pointed out to me, she was older than I was, and she pointed out to me that I wore my shoulders up to my ears. Like I was always cringing. I was always bracing for whatever and trying to keep things under control, keep myself under control, keep circumstances under control. And it's freaking exhausting, right? To spend all that effort. And the truth is, it doesn't really work, does it? So I think that there's a very heavy correlation between whether fear of success or fear of failure or fear of harm, or that there's a very high fear of the unknown, high correlation between fear and control. And so to your point, Bernadette, you talked about fear of success. And I think that's a really tricky conversation to be looking at fear of success, because what is that? What does it mean if we dissect that? What does it mean? So if we have a fear of success, well, what does success bring that would be fearful, or that we might be afraid of? So Bernadette's saying, good morning to Danielle, but I don't see Danielle here. And so maybe you guys are seeing comments that I'm not seeing. I wonder if that's the case. But anyway, good morning, Danielle. I don't see a comment from you, but hopefully maybe it'll show up. Anyway, fear of success might be fear of accountability, responsibility. Like if I'm successful, maybe that brings with it certain responsibilities. Maybe it brings with it certain amount of visibility. Maybe I don't really want to be seen. And so fear of success might be that I don't want to be seen. And maybe fear of success is actually another degree of fear of failure, in that if I'm successful, then I can't fail. And what happens if I fail? So, maybe the fear of success is ultimately a projected fear of failure. I wonder, I'm curious about what your ideas are in regard to this. If you have any other insights around that, I'm really interested, because fear of success is a thorny thing. Maybe we have these ideas about what happens when we're successful, that we then can't, maybe we think it is going to usurp our lives in a certain way, or maybe we think that people will come out of the woodwork and make demands of us that we don't want to have to confront, or what other kinds of things might we be fearful of around success, that we have to keep being successful, that we have to keep performing, that it'll consume our lives, whatever it is that we're doing that has achieved success. I think when we look at the issues around control, the notion of fear of failure or fear of success, I'm not sure how control shows up in that. Maybe we're trying to get all our ducks in a row so that we can succeed. With the fear of success thing, I would think that instead of doing that, what we might be doing is undermining ourselves to avoid the unknown fears, and it could just be fear of the unknown, is like fear of change, fear of losing people that have been part of your life. So Bernadette says, I've had situations with coworkers that seem to get to the point of the ledge that can thrust them higher, to watch them find fault in what is being done, and therefore pulling the process back, or to become completely non-productive. Interesting, Bernadette. Okay, so it may not be, I think that when we talk about fear of success, what we want to do is unpack it a bit, because it could be fear of change. a lot of people are, and I think that that's what control is about, to a very great degree, is fear of change or resistance to change. Um, when people are facing their own edge, where people are facing an opportunity to be stepping out of habitual patterns and to be moving into a new identity or a new way of being, that can be very, very threatening to people. So Rosalind says our nervous system wants to keep the self safe, so revert back to no change, right? Which is exactly that. People will often do all kinds of things to undermine situations that will generate change, because again, fear of the unknown. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know who I'm going to be. I don't feel safe because I want to know how to navigate in this situation. So again, that's like trying to control. So Rosalind says, after accepting, realign and let love in. Triple A. I haven't ever heard that before, Rosalind. Triple A. Accept, align, allow. I love that. I love that. That's very powerful. And the thing is, I guess, I mean, it sounds, Bernadette, I don't know if you're in a management position, but you're talking about seeing coworkers on the edge of moving into a new level of performance, perhaps, or responsibility. And the thing is that may make new demands of people. You know, we often hear about how people rise to the level of their incompetence, which is a really cynical kind of statement. But what happens is that people end up getting promoted beyond their skill set or beyond their joy in many cases. And it does turn out that people end up being square pegs in round holes sometimes. You know, that promotions, that kind of change is not always a positive change for someone. If someone's happy in their job and then they get promoted to, for instance, a management position, they may not have management skills and they may not enjoy that role and the responsibilities for that role. So what looks like forward movement for some people may not be experienced as forward movement or positive advancement for others. So lots to think about, I think, with this control thing. And what is it generating? What is control? What's the intention behind control? And I think ultimately it is this notion of safety. It's ultimately fear driven. You know, I'm going to make sure I do everything exactly right. It's often, I think, control is often driven by a lack of self-esteem, right? Lack of trust in oneself. We started off talking about the relationship of trust and control. And so trust, fear, control, all of those things, I think they get bundled up together in a way that we often just get stuck in the behavior. We get stuck in the pattern rather than looking at, hey, what's going on here? You know, like I had a relative who would start clearing the table and silverware and plates before people were finished eating. And it was just like, whoa, what's going on here? You know, like that. It was really, really interesting. And what, in thinking about it, it's like this level of rigor toward perfection, toward an attempt at achieving some kind of projected ideal, right? Like being the perfect housewife, for example, keeping the house immaculate and everything in its place all the time. What's up with that? What is driving that? What's behind it? I mean, I love having my place clean and neat, and it's not always, and I'm not saying that I'm a paragon of virtue by any means in regard to this, but when there is um, a need to have everything perfect in its place all the time, what's underneath that? Again, it's like trying to control things, trying to exert control where we can in life, probably because of a feeling of being out of control. And maybe feeling out of control on an emotional level, always trying to tamp the lid down, trying to hold things together. It's exhausting to be in that state of alert and vigilance all the time, right? So Bernadette says, I guess it's a matter of me seeing potential for someone to potentially see beyond the fears of whatever holds them back. Makes it heartbreaking at times, just like seeing the beauty in someone that just doesn't see it. So Bernadette, you're talking about something that afflicts so many of us who are who want to see the best in people, right? Oftentimes we'll see the potential in someone that they just don't recognize. We see the diamond in someone that they don't see. And the thing is that before someone sees that, it's important to recognize where they're coming from, to recognize that potential, although we may see it, isn't alive and awake in them yet. Until they can see it. And sometimes we can help to support them in recognizing it. So welcome, Brenda. So good to have you here. I'm not sure if you're soliciting readings. If you are, this isn't the place to do that. We're just engaging in conversation to just explore the way that people are. So if you want to engage in that, you're so welcome to do that. And so control, what is it to try to force control, or to and really, is there such a thing as control? We've all met, and maybe some of us have been controlling people, trying to control other people and their behavior, and trying to control the way that certain interactions take place. And I think that there is a way that we can. I think so, Bernadette. I think so. Trying to, I think there are ways that we can kind of flow more graciously with things, with an open hand. That rather than gripping tightly, this is, that's my image of control, is this tight grip on how things unfold. First of all, it's repellent to the people that are engaged with that, right? That are being controlled, or that are having that control exerted upon them. Rosalind says influencing decisions versus control. That's the distinction. Brilliant distinction, Rosalind. So being in a place to engage, to interact, to connect, versus dominate, right? So I think that there are people that are really super controlling in a malicious and malignant way. And I wonder, in those situations, what is motivating that, this sometimes dangerous type of persona that is trying to control other people and dominate other people. And I would venture to guess that deep underneath that, it's probably driven by fear as well. However, it may not be visible, and it's often, in that kind of situation, when you have someone who's dominating, and creating emotional and sometimes physical violence, how I think we can spot that kind of persona and steer clear. But I do tend to think that all of control is well, it's always, whenever I say all, I start going into a tailspin in my head, because we know there are always exceptions. But I think that as a general statement, it's probably pretty accurate to say that most efforts at control are generated from fear and a lack of self-trust, a lack of trust in the universe. And if we can allow ourselves to become more present and responsive in life, that perhaps we can release that attempt at control. So, and then things flow, then we're being responsive and we're moving with life, and the energy of it is actually moving rather than stuck and congested and contracted. So anyway, I think that's it for today. And I so appreciate you and your wisdom and your insights and your sharing. And I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live each weekday morning here on Enlightened World Network on the Facebook page. And please check out, that's Maggie, for those of you who haven't met her. And for those of you who love her. So before I run, Rosalind says authenticity is suppressed when freedom is suppressed. 100%. Beautiful insight, Rosalind. Being in a controlling relationship steers it in the dominant person's point of view. And oftentimes what happens is we adopt the point of view of that external influence, which is really malignant and life sucking, right? It just detracts from our life energy. Anyway, lots and lots of love to you. Have a wonderful weekend. And I look forward to seeing you again here really soon.